People say weddings bring out the best in families. And ours? It brought out secrets. My older brother used to mock me for going to therapy, laughed behind my back with his fiancée, and even told me I should man up and stop being a bummer. I stayed quiet. I nodded. I went to his stupid tux fitting and smiled through gritted teeth. And then I found his second phone. That's when I stopped being quiet. My name's Derek. I'm 25, the youngest of three and the official black sheep of our picture-perfect suburban family. I'm not loud. I'm not flashy. And I'm definitely not the favorite son. That's Zack. He's the golden boy. Captain of everything in high school. Sales director at some soul-sucking tech company now. Mom still brags about him like he invented air. Me? I'm the guy who talks to a therapist once a week and doesn't show up to every single family brunch. That apparently makes me unstable or too emotional, at least that's what Zack said at the last gathering. I brushed it off, until I heard him say something worse. Something that made me stop forgiving and start plotting. So there we were, family barbecue at Mom's, everyone pretending we still liked each other. Zack was doing his usual "I'm better than everyone" performance, talking about his next promotion like we were all his interns. I just grabbed a plate when I overheard him near the patio, laughing. Not just any laugh, that condescending snort he saves for when he thinks no one important is listening. She's in therapy now too, he was saying to our cousin Kayla, chuckling like a game show host. It's the new personality trend, I guess. Derek's been going for what, 2 years? Still as messed up as ever. Told him once, if you need a stranger to tell you how to live, you're already broken. Kayla didn't laugh, credit where it's due. But she didn't stop him either. Just awkward silence while he poured another drink. And I stood there, on the other side of the glass door, smiling like I couldn't hear a damn thing. But I heard. Every word. And I memorized them. I didn't confront him then. Zack thrives on confrontation. It gives him another audience. Instead, I walked out, nodded at him, and grabbed a beer. I made a joke about his shirt looking like a used couch cushion. He fake laughed, and we moved on. 3 days later, I got the text. Yo bro, wanna be my best man? I swear to God I almost spit out my coffee. I stared at the message like it had been meant for someone else. Because here's the thing, Zack doesn't ask. He declares. He demands. This was not a polite request. This was a setup. I didn't answer right away. I needed time. Not to think about whether I'd say yes, I already had. I just needed to plan what yes would really mean. See, the thing about being the best man? You get access. You're expected to be everywhere. Rehearsals, dinners, group chats, speeches, rings. It's a golden ticket to the entire wedding production. And if you play it right, you can slip behind every curtain. I started taking mental notes. Marissa, his fiancée, was nice. Too nice. The kind of girl who says bless you even if you cough. She didn't deserve Zack, but I wasn't in charge of karma. I just wanted mine. They set the date for June. That gave me 4 months. During that time, I played the role. I offered to help with tux fittings. I RSVP'd to everything early. I even threw in suggestions for a bachelor party which Zack ignored in favor of some ridiculous rooftop cigar and scotch nonsense. Then came the groomsmen group chat. And with it access to Zack's stupid, unfiltered commentary. He sent memes. Mostly about marriage being a trap. Classic Zack. Then there were the comments about Marissa's spending, her weight, and her family. Can't wait for the vows so I can legally tune her out, he wrote once. Everyone laughed. I didn't. One night, after one too many bourbons, I asked him if he was nervous. Nah, he said. Marissa's locked in. Girl's basically been planning this since prom. She's not going anywhere. I nodded. You sure she's the one? He blinked. She's the best one available. Let's put it that way. I laughed. Romantic. I don't need romance, he said. I need stability. That word again. Stable. It meant boring. It meant safe. It meant someone who wouldn't challenge his ego. That was the moment I stopped planning revenge out of anger and started crafting it out of strategy. I started visiting Mom's more. Helped out around the house. Let her gush about Zack. I listened. I nodded. I gave her nothing to worry about. I wanted to be invisible until I wasn't. Then came the rehearsal dinner invites. I offered to design a slideshow for the toast. Zack didn't care. Whatever, he texted. Just keep it short. I smiled. 2 weeks before the wedding, I visited him at his condo to pick up some stuff for the speech. While he stepped into the shower, I saw his second phone tucked behind a stack of unopened Amazon boxes. Black case. No notifications on screen. Suspicious as hell. And unlocked. That was his mistake. And my opportunity. I didn't go looking for it, but I wasn't exactly not looking either. The second phone was sitting on the counter, half hidden behind a stack of Amazon boxes like a guilty conscience in a silicone case. Unassuming, quiet, and totally out of character for Zack. See, Zack's the type to brag about everything. New watch? He'll wear it with the tag still on. Upgraded phone? You'll hear about it in his group chat before it even ships. So the fact that he had a secret phone? That screamed red flags in 10 different languages. And yeah, it was unlocked. No fingerprint. No password. Just open like it belonged to someone with nothing to hide. Which of course made me laugh. The thing is, most people aren't smart enough to hide dirt. They're lazy. Sloppy. They rely on secrecy instead of strategy. And Zack? Zack is the human version of a high school group project. Loud, overconfident, and allergic to details. So I picked it up and started scrolling. Not in a hurry, not in a panic. Just calm, steady curiosity, like flipping through an instruction manual for a bomb I was about to detonate. Messages. Not many, but enough. The most recent one was from a contact saved as L. No emoji, no last name, just L. Short and shady. It read, "Still on for the weekend?" Below that, a thread of messages, affectionate, flirty, reckless. Some recent. Some dating back months. Photos, too. Not explicit, but intimate. Selfies from a hotel room. Her in his hoodie. Him at dinner with wine glasses set for two. All timestamped during weeks when Marissa thought he was working late. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part? It wasn't just one woman. There were at least three. L, Kate, and one just saved as no name. Same tone. Same carelessness. Same damn pictures from different angles. Zack had a rotation. A whole damn highlight reel. The man had turned cheating into a subscription service. I took photos of everything with my own phone. Screenshot after screenshot, timestamp after timestamp. No need to send it anywhere just yet. I wanted this operation to be clean. No digital trail. No mistakes. I even deleted the recently viewed list before I put the phone back. Then I walked out of the condo like I just borrowed his air fryer, not uncovered the secret life of a serial cheater about to get married in 2 weeks. The next few days were quiet. On the outside, Zack called to talk about tuxes. I played along. Marissa texted me a playlist for the reception. She was so sweet it made me sick. I asked Kayla, our cousin, if she'd noticed anything weird between Zack and anyone else. She hesitated for a second too long and said, no, not really. Which meant yes, absolutely. Everyone always knew Zack was a flirt. A charmer. The kind of guy who winked at waitresses and blamed it on being friendly. But this was another level. And everyone was letting it slide because that's just how Zack is. So I decided to be who Zack isn't, the guy who doesn't let it slide. I didn't go nuclear right away. I waited for the rehearsal dinner. Now here's the thing, the best man speech is usually a highlight. Everyone expects humor, warmth, maybe a couple embarrassing stories from childhood. That's what they were expecting from me. But I wasn't aiming for humor. I was aiming for impact. I made a slideshow like I said I would. But instead of baby pictures and beach vacations, I added other images. Screenshots. Texts. Carefully selected photos with dates cropped in the corners. Nothing too wild, just enough to raise eyebrows. I knew I couldn't use them all. That would be overkill. Sloppy. I didn't want a scandal. I wanted a surgical strike. I also knew I couldn't do it alone. So I looped in Kayla. Now Kayla's loyalty sits on a sliding scale, but she hates being lied to, especially by men who think they're smarter than they are. I showed her the photos. Her jaw hit the floor. "You're really gonna show this at the dinner?" she asked. "No," I said. "I'm going to almost show it." She got it immediately. Because the threat of exposure? That's sometimes more powerful than the exposure itself. So we made a plan. The night of the rehearsal dinner, I showed up exactly on time. Zack was already 3 drinks in. Marissa looked radiant. Clueless, but radiant. I gave my toast. It started normally. Childhood stories. Growing up in Zack's shadow. The usual stuff. People laughed. Marissa teared up. Zack looked smug. And then I clicked the clicker. The screen behind me lit up. A slideshow started, but not the slideshow. Just the first few images. Zack and Marissa on vacation. Zack as a kid. Zack with her dog. All sweet. All safe. Then slide 4. Zack. At a restaurant. Not with Marissa. L cropped out, but just barely. A pause. I looked up at Zack and said, "Not every memory makes it to the wedding album, huh?" He stiffened. A few people laughed, mostly out of confusion. Then I clicked again. Text bubbles? Not many. Just a few. "Can't wait to see you again. You looked so hot in that dress." Same time next weekend? Someone in the back gasped. Zack stood up. That's enough, Derek. Oh, you're right, I said, clicking the remote one last time. Let's not ruin the surprise. After all, wouldn't want to spoil the vows. The screen went black. I stepped away from the mic and handed it to the next speaker like I just read a grocery list. People stared. Marissa was frozen. Zack looked like he was about to pass out. Mission accomplished? Not yet. Let me just say this, I never liked suits. They itch, they squeeze, and they make everyone look like they're pretending to be someone they're not. Which was fitting, really. Because at the rehearsal dinner, everyone was pretending. Zack was pretending to be a loyal fiancé. Marissa was pretending nothing felt off. And I was pretending I wasn't 5 seconds from dropping a social grenade. Now if you think I just stormed the stage and nuked his life, you haven't been paying attention. That's not how you hurt someone like Zack. You don't ruin him, you tilt him. You let him sweat. You make sure every eye is on him before you even touch the match. So when I showed those slides, the photos, the texts, the subtle jabs, I didn't go full reveal. No scorched earth, not yet. Just enough to make people squint and whisper. Just enough to make Marissa shift uncomfortably in her seat while trying not to look panicked. The speech ended. There was a weird little silence, the kind where everyone's smiling but their eyes are darting sideways, wondering if they just saw something they weren't supposed to. Then Zack stood up, gave me a tight-lipped smile that could have frozen boiling water, and clinked his glass. Great speech, he said. Let's raise a toast to my little brother, the family comedian. Laughter. Nervous, uneven, fake as hell. But I just raised my glass and toasted right back. To honesty, I said, making eye contact with him. That's when I saw it, the flicker. That twitch behind the smile. A man who knows the mask is slipping. After the dinner, Marissa pulled me aside. Not immediately. She waited. She watched Zack like a hawk first. Then she found me outside, near the valet stand, acting like I wasn't waiting to be ambushed. Derek, she said, can we talk? Shrugged. Sure. Want to grab a drink? Or should I bring slides again? She didn't laugh. Didn't even flinch. Just crossed her arms and said, what are you doing? And there it was. The question. I tilted my head. You ever notice how Zack never answers a straight question with a straight answer? She blinked. What does that mean? It means, I said, maybe you should ask him who he had dinner with at LeBlanc last month. Or what L stands for in his messages. Or why there are multiple hotel bookings under his name with guests listed as +1 and no you in sight. She didn't say anything. So I leaned in just a little. I wasn't trying to ruin your dinner. I was giving you a preview. What you do with that is up to you. Then I walked away. Inside, Zack was pretending harder. Louder. Toasting more. Laughing too much. His jokes were a little forced, a little too quick. The mask was cracking and the crowd could smell it. But I wasn't done yet. You don't spend your life being the quiet one in the shadow of a golden boy without learning how to be patient. How to plan. How to wait for the right moment, not just any moment. So I waited. I waited for the next morning when we all met at the venue for a quick run-through. You know, timing, music cues, walking order. All the stuff nobody cares about until it goes wrong. We were standing in the front row pretending like we didn't notice the tension between Zack and Marissa. She hadn't spoken a word to him since last night, and trust me, that silence was louder than any accusation. The officiant asked us to run through the vows, just casually, no need to be emotional, just a quick walkthrough. Zack, ever the actor, nodded. Of course, he said, smiling with his eyes closed like he was imagining his name in lights. And that's when I slipped. No, not physically. Not some dumb banana peel gag. I mean slipped the envelope. Right into Marissa's purse. Unmarked. Just a manila folder with a USB inside. Labeled highlights. It had everything. The full gallery. All 3 women. The timelines. The receipts. The second phone backups. Hotel check-ins. Voice notes. Even the call logs because yes, I downloaded them while he was in the shower. The message was simple, you could ignore last night. You could believe him if you want. But the truth is sitting in your handbag and it's whispering a different story. I left the church before anyone noticed. No need to linger. I had a date with Uncle Ben, actually. We were grabbing lunch. He always liked me better anyway. At lunch, Ben raised an eyebrow. You look like a man who just pissed in the pool and walked away smiling. I laughed. Let's just say tomorrow's wedding might need a new best man. Good, he said. That role never suited you. He wasn't wrong. Later that night, I checked my phone. Kayla had texted. You're evil. I love it. She opened the envelope. He tried to lie. She asked if I'd known. I said I'd suspected. Her mom was there. It got loud. I smiled. It was already unraveling. The best part? I hadn't said a single thing that morning. No accusation. No dramatic scene. Just the tiniest slip. Just enough to let the truth walk in, wearing heels and lipstick and kick Zack's reputation in the throat. See, everyone thinks revenge has to be loud, explosive, final. But sometimes the most satisfying revenge is a whisper in a room full of microphones. So here we were, wedding day. The big one. Lace and champagne. String quartet. People pretending they weren't, just here to see a train wreck slowly pulling into the station. You could practically smell the tension in the air, and it wasn't just because someone overdid it on cologne. Zack was grinning like he'd just been knighted. Full tux, perfectly styled hair, sunglasses indoors like a total jackass. Marissa, meanwhile, looked like someone trying to hold in a scream during a family photo. Gorgeous dress. Flawless makeup. But behind the eyes? Panic. Confusion. Rage. Take your pick. She'd found the envelope, obviously. I mean, the rehearsal dinner was a little grenade, but the folder? That was the damn nuke. Thing is, she hadn't said anything. Not yet. She still showed up, still wore the dress, still let the makeup team post some behind the scenes with the bride crap to Instagram. But she hadn't looked Zack in the eye once since she arrived. And I hadn't even started yet. The venue was this high-end garden chapel thing. All marble and rose petals and golden arches that probably cost more than my car. Rows of people packed in on white folding chairs, all of them smiling too hard, whispering too quietly, wondering if this was going to be the moment everything exploded. I was standing up front, next to Zack. Best man. Most ironic title I've ever worn. The ceremony began. Music. Procession. Marissa walked down the aisle like she was walking to her own execution. Zack kept looking at her like he'd won the lottery. Guy was either delusional or banking hard on charm to cover his sins. Spoiler, neither would help today. The officiant did the whole intro spiel. Love, commitment, yada yada. Then it was time for the vows. Zack insisted on going first. Big surprise. He pulled out a folded piece of paper and launched into what was basically a monologue from a Hallmark movie mixed with an Oscar acceptance speech, talking about destiny and growth and how we've overcome so much together. I swear he almost started crying. The crowd awed in all the right places. Then it was Marissa's turn. She didn't reach for any paper. She just stood there for a second, silent. Then she smiled. Tight, painfully tight. I actually have something different in mind, she said. Voice calm. Too calm. Zack blinked. You okay? I think so, she said. Then she looked directly at me. Nathan? That was my cue. I reached into my jacket and pulled out a white envelope, not the same as the folder. This one was thinner, but it still had teeth. I walked over slowly, handed it to her, and stepped back. The whole room was dead quiet now. Not awkward quiet. Nuclear quiet. She opened it, pulled out a single sheet, started reading, line by line, a list of names, dates, messages, summarized highlights from the files Zack tried to pretend didn't exist. She didn't raise her voice, didn't cry, just read. People gasped. One woman stood up and walked out, probably one of Zack's conquests. Zack tried to interrupt, stammering something about privacy and twisted lies. He even looked at the officiant like the guy could somehow step in and referee. But Marissa kept going. She read the part where he booked a team-building retreat for just him and some intern named Chelsea. She read the part where he messaged Lily, my ex, telling her she could do better than someone like Derek. She even mentioned a receipt for a necklace she never received. But someone named Mads definitely did. By the time she finished, Zack's face looked like it was melting off. He reached out, tried to grab her hand, but she yanked it away like he was made of acid. Then she turned to the guests and said, Sorry you all came for a wedding. What you got was a revelation. Then she walked off, straight up the aisle, head high, bouquet still in hand. Applause. No, I'm not kidding. Actual applause. Scattered at first, then louder. Zack looked at me like I just stabbed him. What the fuck did you do? I didn't answer. Just gave him the same tight smile he used on me for years. The same smile he wore when he called me fragile, when he laughed about my therapy, when he told Marissa she shouldn't worry about my emotional baggage. Then I handed the officiant a new piece of paper. Oh, I said, this might help. It was a copy of the original envelope contents, with one difference. I signed the bottom. Submitted by Derek, best man, and apparently best brother. The officiant, bless him, just gave Zack a look that said, yeah, "This ain't my problem," and walked away. People were standing up, filing out. Murmurs. Laughter. Some of Zack's friends patted him awkwardly on the back before leaving. Nobody stayed. Nobody comforted him. Even his groomsmen looked like they wanted to melt into the carpet. Zack stood alone, still in his overpriced tux, holding nothing. I walked past him, slow and steady, and said just loud enough for him to hear, "Next time someone tells you therapy helped them survive, don't fucking laugh." Then I left. No dramatic door slam, no middle finger, just calm steps out of the venue and into the light. The best part? There was no next part for him. No save the date. No reception. No oops, we worked it out. It was just over. Marissa's family took her home. Her dad actually shook my hand. Her mom hugged me. I think they knew. Everyone always knows. They just wait until the proof walks in the door wearing a tux and a smirk. Zack didn't show up to the after-party, mainly because there wasn't one. Turns out, when you get publicly exposed at your own wedding, mid-vows no less, your calendar clears up real fast. He moved out of state a few weeks later. Ran off to start fresh. Whatever that means when you're dragging a reputation like roadkill behind you. Marissa, she's doing all right. She messaged me a few weeks later just to say thank you. Not for ruining her wedding, but for giving her the truth before she walked into a lifetime of lies. And me, I finally slept. Like really slept. No therapy flashbacks, no panic wake-ups, no hollow guilt. Sometimes revenge doesn't scream. Sometimes it just walks away from the fire with both hands in its pockets, whistling. And yeah, I whistled all the way home.